that being said, you big dummies, you getting paid now.
I mean, it seems like everyone is contributing to this predicament at this point.
Opportunity to pull up their chair.
For a moment, let's be honest. Cheryl Swoops has persistently targeted Caitlin Clark with some of the most bizarre and baseless charges over the course of the last year. Strange allegations that she is a 25-year-old playing against teenagers, that her record-breaking rookie season wasn't really that terrific, and even that no one in the league wants to play with her are all we're talking about. It was just this relentless barrage of negativity that, to be honest, seemed to never end.
They will recognize, her game, but they won't recognize her impact.
Right.
How can you separate the two? It's kind of
hard,
right?
And I used, and Jax, you're absolutely right. And I was like, come on, you big.
Then, when it appeared that the cacophony would never end, Cheryl Miller, a former coach of Clark's and a real basketball grade, entered the ring. She called Swoops a gigantic idiot and methodically dispelled all the false notions in what can only be characterized as a devastating blow to the naysayers on the All the Smoke podcast. Miller finally putting Swoops in her place has fans excited with anticipation. However, her fervent defense of Caitlin Clark also raises an entirely unexpected question regarding the future of the Indiana Fever. Do you feel ready for this? Come on.
Of the year, two-time national championship, two-time tournament MVP, first woman to dunk in an organized game, gold medalist. Thank you for making time. Welcome to the show, Cheryl Miller.
However, let's pause for a moment before analyzing each of Miller's impactful remarks. Have you ever truly paused to consider why one of basketball's greatest icons appears to be so devoted to eliminating the WNBA's most promising young star? It's a worthwhile inquiry. Let's take a closer look at Cheryl Swoops' peculiar and tenacious campaign against Caitlin Clark. A campaign that began during her time in college and continued during her rookie year.
We'll talk about how much more experience that gives you over other players coming in, right? So people say, dang, like he or she's killing them, but you have a 25-year-old playing against a...
It all started when Swoops made these egregiously untrue statements on Clark's illustrious collegiate history. Swoops asserted that Clark was a 25-year-old competing against 20-year-olds while attending Iowa, which may have been her most absurd claim to date. Let's now be really clear about the situation's reality. Like many other college seniors, Clark was just 22 years old and in her fourth year of competition. Swoops attempted to backtrack when confronted about this flagrant lie, saying that it was all exaggeration pertaining to CO qualifying regulations. A pitifully feeble defense that failed to withstand any kind of scrutiny.
Right now probably takes about 40 shots a game.
Carry on.
I know you like that.
Hell yeah.
I said that because when she comes to the league, regardless of what team she goes to that has vets on that team,
she most likely won't receive 40 shots every day. But trust me when I say that Swoops was just getting started. In an attempt to portray Clark as a conceited ball-hogging volume shooter, she continued by asserting that she took 40 shots per game. Clark actually averaged a far more manageable 22.7 shots per game, according to the statistics. The fact that Swoops herself averaged 19.2 shots per game during her own senior year, just 3 fewer than Clark, makes this assertion particularly absurd. Imagine hurling stones from a glass home. Swoops altered strategies when that story failed, particularly when Clark was on the verge of surpassing the all-time NCAA scoring record by suggesting that it would take a 6th year to do it.
Caitlin, if you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player set it.
Okay.
Right? So if Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year to break that record. So is it truly a broken?
Naturally, this was entirely incorrect. Swoops then confidently declared that Clark wouldn't be able to rule the league when she joined the WNBA, despite the fact that the co-eligibility rule would have given Clark a 5th year of college ball. Swoops conveniently chose not to use it as Clark started breaking rookie assist records and becoming one of the league's top playmakers right away. Ultimately, the figures are self-explanatory. by averaging 19.2 points and a league-high 8.4 assists per game at the end of her remarkable debut campaign. Clark silenced her skeptics and earned the title of Debut of the Year.
She wouldn't be good. What I said was I didn't think Caitlin or Angel would come into the league and dominate immediately, which I don't think either of them did.
Respectfully, there is absolutely no way, even when we're trying to sit here and play semantics about dominating, there's no way that anyone could ever leave this season in saying that both Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese didn't dominate. You would have to further explain what dominance means for you to not sit here and say that a player who is leading the league in assists while averaging 19 to 20 points didn't dominate.
Swoop's appearance on Angel Reese's podcast, when she continued to disparage Clark while simultaneously asserting that she doesn't hate her, was arguably the most telling moment of all. It was just another typical textbook instance of someone saying one thing and doing the exact opposite, exposing the hypocrisy to the public.
Since she was in college, I helped do her shoe deal with Nike in 1993, took her to her first SBs. I've known Cheryl, I've coached her, have a lot of respect for her. I called her when Caitlin was still playing at Iowa and she had just broken Maravich's record. And it was all over the place, as you and I have discussed, that there was this quote by Cheryl that said, Caitlin was, 25 years old. She was, 24 years old. She was a fifth-year senior. Right. She was taking 40 shots a game. Her records were
It was impossible to ignore the ongoing criticism as the entire basketball community began to notice this unsettling pattern. In the end, there were actual repercussions. Another legend, Nancy Lieberman, took Swoop's place in the booth after she was prohibited from broadcasting an Indiana Fever game. Unlike Swoop's, Lieberman wasn't scared to speak out and reveal the false turns in the story, because the basketball community finally found someone with unquestionable legitimacy to join the Caitlin Clark conversation when Cheryl Miller entered the All the Smoke podcast studio and really lit up the detractors. What happens, therefore, when a real basketball legend, someone who has actually coached Clark, decides she's had enough of all the bullshit? You get one of the strongest and most sincere defenses in women's basketball history.
Actually, you're absolutely right. And I was like, come on, you big dummies. Is she getting hyped? Yes.
Yeah.
But she was in the backyard. She was putting it.
Miller said, "The incessant criticism may make you feel like you have to prove yourself over and over again," as she considered the tremendous pressure Clark was under. Perhaps more than you were correct at times.
Called her for what she...
Here is the unpleasant truth about the entire circumstance. Those who criticize Clark merely won't accept the truth that her presence has made the league better overall. We're talking about a huge increase in media attention, ticket sales, and viewership, all of which, incidentally, directly improve everyone's income.
Well, I mean, look, as much as she was given, you can't tell me if that door would have swung the other way where she didn't live up to the hype.
Right.
Come on, folks are still waiting for her to fall.
Exactly.
Come on.
Yep.
So, with that being said, you big dummies, you getting paid.
You see, following the opportunity to work directly with Clark during the 2025 WNBA, Miller had a front-row seat at the All-Star game to evaluate Clark's performance outside of the media hype and highlight reels. Even she was stunned by what she found when she saw Clark up close. It is precisely because of this first-hand experience that Miller's defense is so powerful and hard to ignore.
Recently coached the WNBA All-Star game. You spent some time with Caitlin Clark.
Best coaching job ever.
Best coaching job
Best
ever.
coaching job ever.
Being around Caitlin Clark, how was the experience for her? She's such a big star. I mean, the sky's the limit for her. To be around her, just talk about the type of person she is and how much she loves the game.
I'm going to be honest because it needs to be said. I can relate to that young lady, and I felt for her.
Mm-hmm.
I know what it's like to be hated. I know what it's like to be a Black woman and hated because...
I was pleased to discover that the story wasn't true, as Miller herself expressed it. She deftly dismantled months' worth of unfavorable media narratives with that one potent comment. However, she didn't end there. Miller went much farther, offering a genuinely original perspective on what makes Clark such a remarkable talent. By doing this, she was able to cut through all the clutter and arrive at the reality.
I can't imagine this young lady, I don't want to use hate, but despised. And people just having, she brought some on herself a little bit because she's cocky for a good reason.
Confident.
And I love that about her. But to watch the dynamics and the media, they had their narrative. And I was pleased and proud to see the narrative was.
However, despite its sharpness, Miller's technical examination of Clark's on-court skills actually hides something much more significant, a genuine emotional bond that grew during Clark's darkest moments. This was made abundantly evident when the Fever eventually won their first game of the 2025 campaign. Miller did more than only congratulate Clark at that particular moment. When the rookie needed it most, she offered her sincere, unwavering support.
Her pass, and I didn't know how talented she was and how well she sees the game in a 3D version. Thinker, defensively a lot better than I thought and gave her credit for. So watching her and just spending a little time. And one thing, guys, that I've learned is to step back and let these kids be them.
After that initial Indiana triumph, Miller and Clark exchanged a hug that went far beyond a simple banter between two basketball players. It was a pivotal, impactful moment that illustrated how isolated Clark had felt throughout the early onslaught of criticism surrounding her league debut. Miller said, "When she spotted me, I gave her the strongest hug I could manage," recalling the profound intensity of that reunion. "Oh man, finally someone who's on my side," she exclaimed. She was being struck with everything from left to right, Miller continued.
Getting hit with everything left and right, and I just said, I hugged her. I said, "I'm so proud of you." I go, "Savor this. Use this as a formula." I said, "But keep being you." I said, "No matter what, keep."
Miller offered the kind of counsel that only someone who has faced a similar difficult path can offer in that really perilous situation, not simply some empty platitudes. These weren't just words of comfort. For a novice who was drowning in a sea of demands and harsh examination, they served as a lifeline. "I'm extremely proud of you," Miller said to her. Use this as a recipe, but keep being you no matter what," she went on.
The crown that she's wearing right now.
Right.
And it wasn't something that she anointed herself. It's something that's been placed on her head. And I hope people understand that. But it's everything that she.
When Cheryl Miller talks, the basketball community listens, and for good reason. Her voice bears the amazing weight of a remarkable career that includes 2 national titles, an Olympic gold medal, 3 Nosmouth Player of the Year honors, and, of course, a place in the Basketball Hall of Fame. Miller's backing, meanwhile, goes much beyond merely appreciating Clark's stellar resume. She notices something about Clark that other reviewers don't seem to notice. She is far more than just a scorer because of her exceptional court vision. We must therefore ask, what are your thoughts on all of this? Comment below with how happy you are to see an icon like Miller take the lead. Subscribe and turn on all alerts to make sure you never miss anything. Click the video on the screen, and we'll see you in the following.